How we doing? I'm Zach Mayfield, and cameras are cool. But what's even cooler is being able to see what that camera sees. And how can you even do that without a camera monitor? What a segue. Today we're taking a look at the Andycine A6 Plus 5.5 inch touchscreen camera monitor. I took to Instagram to ask fellow video creators, content creators, filmmakers what they think the most important features are that a camera monitor should have. I got like 4 responses and this one guy who just said small HD or GTFO. I don't know if that's a video game or something, but if it is, he can play it on this monitor. I took the responses I got on Instagram and my own personal desires for a camera monitor, smashed them together to give you the chapters that this video contains. Am I recording? We're still good. A camera monitor needs to be a workhorse. It has to withstand humid-ass weddings, 12-hour music video shoots, and the sweaty sausage fingers of mukbang YouTubers. This here Andycine monitor has me slightly worried in the build quality department. It has an all-plastic outer shell. I've also used both small HD and Atomos monitors before, and I think that they're both made of some sort of harder metal-style casing. Keep in mind, this Andycine monitor isn't necessarily supposed to compete with the other top dogs like small HD or Atomos. It sits more at a beginner or intermediate level, and using plastic to make it instead of vibranium keeps the cost down. Although the outer shell of the monitor and the buttons aren't the strongest, they're made out of plastic, we do get a really nice full HD 1080p 5.5 inch display, which weighs 235 grams. That's only half a pound for all you Europeans. With the font choices and the style of the buttons, the user interface on the screen looks a lot like Windows 98. One thing I like is that the little spin wheel on top of the monitor can be set to control a variety of different settings, and I have mine set to brightness. The little spin wheel also navigates the menu system, and it moves really quick. It looks like a hamster running super fast on a wheel. Wait, you don't like spin wheels? You don't like hamsters? Well, guess what? Touchscreen. No, the touchscreen isn't as good as the iPhone 12 your mom bought you so you can make wide-angle TikToks, but it actually is decent. And if you don't want to accidentally bump the screen while you're filming, just tap the power button once to disable touch mode. Now, the most disappointing part of this screen is it's only 450 nits of brightness. Just for reference, the Atomos Ninja 5 here is 1,000 nits of brightness. I think 1,000 is about the minimum I would use for filming outdoors at all. I took it outside on a cloudy day and I could see okay. I also had the sunshade on, but if you have the sunshade off filming in broad daylight, it's not gonna be great. The sunshade is also not the best quality. It's made out of plastic and has a Velcro outer rim, and then the shade itself just kind of clips down onto it with the Velcro. It holds fine, but if you're honestly traveling with this monitor, I could see it getting broken in your bag fairly easily. But let's end this chapter on a positive note. For powering this monitor, it's actually super nice. You can either plug it into wall power, you can use Sony batteries or Canon batteries without swapping any plate on the back. It's all just kind of built in, and those batteries are all super cheap and accessible. You probably have a bunch lying around. When I asked people on Instagram what they thought the most important features were for a camera monitor to have, this is what they said. HDMI in and out, SDI in and out, LUT importing, and exposure tools like waveform, vector scope, that kind of stuff. Like we discussed earlier, this monitor is very affordable at $229 as of March 2020, so I didn't expect it to have all these features and compete with those other top dog monitors. But it's actually missing a couple key components that I feel like a monitor should have, but we'll get into that in a second. The A6 Plus does have an HDMI in and out, so you could have your camera shooting a signal to the monitor, and then out from your A6 monitor, you could go to another monitor or set up a wireless system if it's HDMI. There's no SDI inputs or outputs at all, and that's kind of one thing I didn't expect it to have anyway. One thing I did expect it to have is waveform and vector scope, mostly because it says it has it on their website. All of you log shooters out there can rejoice. The A6 has built-in log conversions for the basic S-logs and V-log, that sort of thing. And this monitor has an SD card slot so you can import your own LUTs into the monitor for your viewing pleasures. I need coffee. Oh, hi. At the end of the night, the most important thing about this monitor is the image. And golly gee dang, the A6 Plus actually looks really nice. For $229, you're actually getting a really sharp, full HD 1920s by 1080s image. One thing I noticed is that if I output my HDMI info from my X-T3 to the A6 monitor, the image quality on the A6 was less. It wasn't as sharp, it looked a little bit fuzzy. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. It's a little bit frustrating, because like right now I have the X-T3 here and the A6 here, but I can't see my ISO or aperture settings on this monitor, so I have to look at the back of my X-T3. You'll just have to experiment with your camera, test the HDMI output settings, and see what works best for you. Another thing that I got confused on for a long time was when I initially plugged this monitor into my camera, it looked super zoomed in, so I thought it was a Fuji output setting. Turns out it's just a pinch setting. It was zoomed in like this. Looked very neat. For me personally, I need to be stoked about the image I'm seeing on the monitor, otherwise I'm just not gonna create as well. That might sound kind of needy and lame, but if you see an image on your monitor and it looks beautiful, you're gonna be excited about it and be more stoked about the project. That's at least for me. There are a couple things you need to be careful about. The first one is the color temperature of the monitor itself. If you double tap the monitor, it brings up your settings. Just go to your little RGB guy, and then there's a color temperature setting. I have it set to 6500, and that's what looked like the most natural colors compared to the monitor on my camera. I had it set to 5600, but it looked way too warm. Yeah, it looks goofy. So 6500 looks the most natural to my eye, at least. And then the biggest issue that I have with this monitor is that you can't do 4K above 24 frames per second. I went outside with the X-T3 and tried to do some 4K 60, and the camera just notified me that the device connected to it is not compatible. Sadly, if you want to do anything above 24 frames per second in 4K, you're out of luck. I think that there are only two situations in which you should get this Andycine A6 Plus monitor. The first one is if you film indoors selfie footage like what I'm doing right now in 4K in no higher than 24 frames per second. That way you don't have to worry about the super bright conditions outside. There are better monitors for that. The other situation is if you're a beginner filmmaker or video creator and you need your first monitor. Maybe you have your first DSLR or your first mirrorless and it's kind of a beginner to intermediate level camera and you just want a bigger monitor to be able to see what you're doing. Then I think this monitor is perfect. And it also comes with a really nice mounting bracket that goes into your cold shoe on your camera. It looks a lot like the focus brackets from the small HD focus monitors. I actually am gonna be keeping this monitor and using it because I really like the image, and I'm gonna use it for overhead camera shots on a rig that I built over at my desk. Thank you, Andycine, for sending me your baby screen to review. They aren't paying me, they aren't telling me what to say at all. I say whatever I wanna say in my videos, and that's how it's always gonna be. I'm probably gonna go play some Xbox on this little monitor and then watch some Hulu on it too. Here's my patrons. Hi, these people on the screen are my beautiful patrons, and I have two new patrons that I would like to shout out, TJ and Cody Maynard. I really appreciate you guys. As you know, this is a really weird time in our world, and I'm kind of a full-time YouTuber right now because I can't do video projects, so please at least subscribe and then consider becoming a patron. Thank you, bye.